Alrighty, welcome back to another episode of Life with Lamb. Today I'm here with Mark Dale, the founder of Rapid Supplements, an Australian-owned supplement company that offers a variety of products from recovery, pump, shred, and also vegan alternatives, if that wasn't enough already. Mate, we met at Lululemon Doncaster where I sold you the exact pair of pants that you're wearing right now, the ABC joggers, and at work, love getting curious, love chatting, love getting to know people a bit better. I think that's the beauty of retail. Like, you just get to chat.
You never know who you're going to meet.
Absolutely.
You never know who's coming in the door.
And it just so happened that in that month, or I think the month after, we were doing High Rocks and you were adjudicating for High Rocks.
I was buying the pants because I needed a pair of black pants for that weekend. It was High Rocks was that weekend. So it was like a Tuesday. I'd gone to see the guys at My Nutrition Pantry. They're friends. And they sell Rapid Supps, and then I went around the corner to get the pants from you. And you were talking about, I'm in that this weekend. I said, oh, mate, so am I. Unfortunately, I can't do the event, but I can judge it. Right?
Probably fortunately, to be honest.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
But my injuries prevent it.
Yeah.
I'm very limited.
And mate, we're going to talk all about it. I guess like you are a world caliber athlete, second in the world for, I believe it's the 2K.
It's so funny to hear that because you certainly don't feel that way. And I had a terrible training session yesterday, and it was actually what we call a handles down. So you're halfway through, that's it. But I was coming off the back of 1 hour's sleep. Not that I like to make excuses. I was coming off the back of 1 hour's sleep and some really big problems, and just didn't cope with the session very well. But you certainly don't think of yourself that way. But yeah, look. In my age group, which is the 50 to 54 age group, there are some beasts in that age group on this machine. And yeah, I'm trying to get better all the time, of course, but I'm second in a lot of distances. But there's many distances. There's like 2K, 5K, 10K, 21K, 42K. There's the half hour, there's the hour, there's the 500 meter, there's the 1K. And I'm trying to get better in all of them, but I'm second in about 7 or 8 of them at the moment. There's a guy in England called John who's just a beast, and his times are just – but like when I look back, and only 6 or 8 months ago, I looked at the times of the other guys that were a top 4, and I thought I could never do that. Okay, but now after 8 months, you've done it. So now it's just a matter of applying yourself even more to get that bit further.
Definitely, mate.
Okay.
And for context as well, this is the Concept 2 ski erg.
Yeah.
One of the most vomit-worthy machines ever.
It's brutal, yeah.
It's a very brutal machine.
Brutal.
And mate, you've started your own company, and I guess the whole preface of it is to support and fuel this ideal world of competing in the like the ski erg comp. Like, is it an actual like renowned comp, or is this just
it's
like
all done
numbers?
digitally?
Yeah.
So it's really exciting, and it's so good to see High Rocks and BFTs and F45s getting involved in it. They probably need a bit of work on their technique and their efficiencies, and not many people know how to use the ski properly. But that will change over time. But when we can compete in a 2K time trial, for example, you plug it, you download it from your phone to the machine through the PM5, and then as soon as you're finished, it uploads. Okay, to your Concept 2 log. So everyone can see what you've trained that day, what you've done, your records are kept. And then it's displayed. And so it's like PlayStation for fitness enthusiasts.
In real life
gaming. It's real life. So I can see, okay, this dude over in Sweden, which is where it's really big.
Yeah.
So I can see, okay, this dude's done 15 Ks today. I've only done 10. I better get back and do a few more. So you can get really sucked in if you're not careful, right? So for competitive people, it's extremely dangerous.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it's very addictive as well. But yeah, so it's all done digitally, all your timing, all your splits, everything. Every workout that I do now is measured. So you have your heart rate, you have your force, you have everything, and you're trying to improve everything. But when you break it down and analyze it, that's when you can really start to get some results. Over the last 6 months, my times have improved massively because I've done 2 million meters in that time as well. Okay. But yeah, I've applied really specific training regimes with zone 2, zone 5, lactic threshold training, which is just extremely painful to get to where we are. And now we just want to get better.
Absolutely, mate.
Want to get better.
So I guess like when we date back to the idea that you now run a business and you're second in the world for multiple events on the ski erg, when you date back to life as a kid, did you ever believe that to be your reality or your destiny or dream?
Oh God, no. We didn't have dreams or anything back then. We were just trying to survive. We didn't have the access to the stuff you guys have access to, right? So we didn't have access to psychology or thought process. Like the one good thing about online, I suppose, which is not always good because it makes people think things that aren't reality, is that you can get access to those kind of things. We didn't have that. When I was a kid, I was heavier then than what I come from obesity, man. So when I was a kid, I made a decision at 13, and I just said, that's fucking it. I'm not going to, for years, I was just told, well, your mum's overweight. You're overweight. It's just the way it is. And I thought one day, you know what? Who made those rules? I'm not doing that shit.
Did it come from bullying? Like, were you picked on as a kid
everyone
because
was
of your
picked on
weight?
back then, man. It's just
like dog
no
eat
one
dog.
even knew I was we didn't even think about that. That was just life. Bullying. We didn't even know what that was. Everyone was, yeah, of course, I got annihilated because being fat then wasn't normal. You were the one. Or there might have been one. Yeah, you got annihilated. But I thought, this is just not living, man. I just didn't know how I want to live. And I started dieting. The first diet I did was the Scarsdale medical diet. I'll never forget it. I bought the book. I was 13. And I said, fuck this. This is not living. I'm not doing this. And so and then I went to gym. And back then you got to understand, gyms weren't like how they are now. Okay. And there was no idea of how to program. There was no idea of how to work out. There was no YouTube. I was just very lucky. I was in Auckland, South Auckland, which is a very poor part of Auckland in New Zealand. And I was 13 and I was overweight and I was white. And I walked into this gym. It was just full of dark dudes. And they're heavy guys. And there's not a gym everywhere like there was now. There was a gym every 30 minutes maybe or 20 minutes. So it wasn't easy to get there. And there was only one every 3 or 4 suburbs. It wasn't anything like now. Nothing like how it is. And I started training and I'll never forget the instructor back then used to give you a routine and he'd write it out for you on a card and you'd get started. And it was just uncomfortable. You felt terrible. You were fat. It wasn't easy to move in and out of things. It was just difficult and I hated every minute of it. But I made myself go. And I haven't thought about this for a long time, but after about 8 or 9 months, I remember I was doing something one day and I thought, this feels fantastic. And that was when I just fell in love with working out. And it never changed from there. But it was a very difficult start. So yeah, to answer the fitness side, never. Okay, and then we sort of progressed into other things, whether it was kickboxing, boxing, and then bodybuilding as time went on. But for the business side, it was similar. Like I was working for these companies and I used to get so frustrated with them. And I thought, you know what? Like I'll do it myself. But if I hadn't known then what I was getting into, I might have second guessed that, right? But at that time you just thought, nah, this is shit. I can't have these conversations because they're what I call draining conversations and you're fighting with people you're fighting for out in the marketplace. So if the market leader is a 60 serve and your company comes out with a 40 serve that's the same price, how's that going to work? But companies do stuff like that all the time. You just look at them and go, oh, what? And I remember having an argument once with the CEO and I said, I can't sell something that I wouldn't buy. I said, how can I sell that? And I was just getting really annoyed and I thought, fuck it, I'll try it myself. Right, a couple of things happened and one thing led to another and I'll never forget my first order. It was for Rapid. It was Rapid. And he goes, and I ordered a lot. And it was expensive. And I thought, shit. And he goes, what are you going to do if it doesn't sell? But that thought hadn't even entered my mind at that point, right? He goes, and I said, of course it's going to sell, man. It's mine. I'll make it sell. So yeah, it was just so funny when he said that. He goes, what are you going to do if it doesn't sell? I said, of course it'll sell. It was just, and yeah, you hadn't even contemplated what would happen if it didn't sell. It was just, you just started on this road, but you had no idea about minimum order quantity, about packaging, about delays, about the issues with manufacturing and the stuff that can go wrong. It was just like, of course it'll work. And so when you've got that much money on the line and you believe in your product, you just, yeah, let's make it work. So you made it work.
Mate, what was it like? How did you get into the supplement industry first? Was it that one of your first jobs? How did that all entail?
how I got into the supplement industry, I was working. I've had some horrendous problems in my personal life, and I've made some shocking decisions there. But once again, you didn't have a lot of support or insight, and you just didn't really know what was pushing and pulling you. And that sort of lent me into certain jobs, or something would sort of fall into place. And I was working in a health food store. I was 29. I was a single dad. I had my two sons. They're only 4 and 2. They're very young. And I could only work certain hours. It was very difficult. It was just not an easy time. And I was there, and I was selling on the floor, and I started to get a reputation. People would come in just at times when I was there to see me, and one of the owners of one of the companies was there, and I was selling the dude some protein or something, and he goes, "Oh, have you ever thought about being in sales repping?" I said, "Nah." He goes, "Come see me." So I said, "Okay." And I was about 30 at the time, 22 years ago. That was on the Gold Coast. Okay. And that's how it got started. And that's how it all began. So I started sales repping for that company, built it up, and then they cut my commission, and then it just turned to disaster, because it was very difficult with having young kids and childcare and trying to juggle all that. And I was competing in bodybuilding too at the time, so I couldn't even I could get to the gym maybe once or twice, and diet was very important, but it was very difficult even trying to work around with the boys, and it was a difficult time in life, right? But I took that job, and then I finally built the sales up where I was going to make an okay income, and he cut it. He cut it in half. And so, of course, I didn't take that well. I was fucking furious. And I went, and the opportunity come to Victoria to work for another company, and I just said, "Oh, I'll take it." Okay, so yeah, and that started again, and that set me on the road in Victoria. That was 16, 17 years ago. So that's how it got started. And then I was working for that company for a fair while, and then I started getting frustrated because the market was changing, the market was moving, and the company wasn't moving with it. And I started having those frustrating conversations. I said, "Oh, I'll just do it myself."
Mate, you seem to have these traits and characteristics that I guess like the typical definition of an entrepreneur sort of has, like you see like
it's
the change.
It's such a funny word that it gets thrown around.
Do you relate to it at all?
Not really.
Not really. Okay.
Okay, because the reality of starting something from nothing, and this idea that you're then an entrepreneur is so far removed, because people like to call. I said, mate, the amount of capital you need, the balls you need, the risk, the loneliness. Okay, I know plenty of guys that in top level business now, we say this, they go, "Oh, you must be happy." Man, they've got 10 legal cases going at once. The constant fights they're having is just unbelievable, and what it does to you and how it can turn you inside out. You could ask a lot of them and you'd say, "Was it worth it?" They'd probably say, "No." And a lot of the times, okay, it's all good and well to sit back and, "Oh, I've made this." That's not reality. It takes years to build a brand. It takes years to build relationships. It takes a long time to get things going. And sometimes you sit there and you think, "What the fuck am I doing?" I would be better off on wages sometimes. A lot of the time. Especially in the early days, the first 5, 6, 7 years. Because everything you make goes back into stock. I think Phil Knight said that in his book, and not many people really understand it until you're in it. That you sold 1,000 shoes, but now you have to buy 1,500 because there's more demand. So you can't take any of that money. You can't pay yourself. You've got to put it back in, put it back in, put it back in. So anytime anybody says to me about, I said, I had a young lady ask me this. She goes, "Oh, I'm going to start my own protein brand." I said, "Do you really understand what that means?" I said, "Do you have any idea what that means?" I said, "Why would somebody buy yours? You've got the marketing, the optimums, why would somebody buy yours? You think you can just smile and pose and someone, it just doesn't work like that." I said, "What about the minimum order quantities? That minimum order quantities, MOQ, 1,000 of each flavour, £2, £5. It's going to cost you $600,000 or $800,000. I said, then you've got to warehouse it. You've got to get a forklift. You've got to get an internet presence. These things cost hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands. It's even now, it's even probably more complicated because it's not like you could start 5 years ago. I probably started the last chance you had where you could start with a smaller range and grow in, you have to start with a ball breaker now. You can't come with just 3 flavors. You have to come with 8 flavors, 4 sizes, and that's huge stock holding.
100%. So you mentioned the idea of you'd rather be on wages now. Mate, what's gotten you into it? So obviously the frustrating conversations with people that were above you, but what ultimately pushed you?
Well, I could see that the pre-workout market was changing and people would want non-stims. So I made a non-stim 5 years ago. I love non-stim. I don't use stims. I love the industry. I'm into it, right? I use the products. I make them. I play around with them. I love them because I want them for performance, purely for performance, not vanity. And the industry has gone to this level of vanity now that it's just insane.
Can you describe it? Like what makes you say that?
I've been in gyms for 40 years. Okay. And to see that it's such an exciting time to see the amount of young people wanting to get involved. But there isn't a lot of passion in their training, and they're not training for, they're training so they can look better for vanity. It's not so they can perform better or be better. And I would love to do, what I want to do with Rapid is do some 2K blocks, and I give you the 6-week training block so we can try and get something back to performance and get away, which is good about high rocks, just so good about high rocks because it's coming back to performance. We want to improve our times, we want to improve this, we want to improve that, not just look at ourselves. I mean, you only have to scroll through your fitness feed. I mean, it's just like, I don't want to see another body. It's just like, seriously, yeah, okay. but do we really, is that what we're doing this for? And it's kind of sad to see that's where it's become. I'm quite like, it's funny for me because when all this sort of started happening, we just said, no one cares about your workout, man. No one cares what you're doing. No one cares what you're eating, but apparently they do. Because we've got people in gyms videoing themselves. And I always feel like, we went, and when we were younger, and that we went under the delusion that we think we could be famous. Because most famous people, or people that become famous, are musicians, they're athletes, they're the top of the top. We weren't deluded to think we can just be a normal dude and go and work out and get famous, because that's not going to happen. So it was just to see where it's gone. We need to try and bring it back somehow, because the good thing about, for us, used to go to the gym, we'd all meet up with our friends and we'd train together. Hey man, how you doing? But people go in there with their headphones on. They're just, it's not like it used to be. It used to be very social. If there was someone that joined, it was exciting for us because there wasn't many people that come in. So we'd teach them how to work out. Hey man, do this, try this. But that doesn't sort of happen. There's not a lot of communication anymore. There is in my gym, because I'm talking to everybody. Everybody, lady comes up to me and goes, what the hell are you doing? You've been on the ski for an hour and a half. And she goes, I can't even do it. And so I'll help them with the ski or whatever. And I'll talk to them while I'm training. If I'm doing zone 2 stuff, absolutely. Because I'll do anything to help anyone with their workout, because we want to be, I'll do it because I know how hard it is. And you should always work out, because it will help you get through life. It'll give you those positive thoughts, and everybody should work out. So I'll do anything to help anyone with their workout, because it's very important.
Absolutely, mate. Do you feel like that was one of the main factors that helped you navigate through life? I guess the way you speak, were parents involved much in your upbringing?
I left home very early. I love my parents to bits. It wasn't a great start, but I always trained. I've made a lot of errors as a parent as well. No, it's there's been a lot of disasters. And if I had to do it again, you wouldn't do things the way you did them. And you've hurt people and you didn't mean to, So, yeah, but no matter what happened, I always worked out. And it would, no matter what the personal disasters, it sort of grounded you. Okay, no matter what was going on in your life, I always wanted better. Okay, now I don't know whether that came from, but I always trained, but I always wanted better. And a lot of times the training wasn't what it should have been. Now that I know what I know now, God, I wish I knew it back then, you would have been a much better athlete. But we can say that about being a human. You'd be a much better human as well. But yeah, we didn't have the access that you guys have to things, and it wasn't like that. But yeah, it did help me through many disasters. There's been many periods when I couldn't sleep, and we didn't know that was anxiety. We didn't know that was because you were so stressed and upset that's why you couldn't sleep. But you know that now. Okay, but even during the periods of no sleeping and the disasters, I would always work out. And that did help me enormously, even through, I've had some big surgeries and that was from defects from birth and things like that. And that's how we ended up on the ski.
Talk to us about it.
Okay. How did we end up on the ski? Well, we were kickboxing, boxing. We got to like national level when I was younger. I had a period where I didn't do anything competitive for a while, got married, had young boys, and then we went to bodybuilding, got to state level there. But I was too tall and I wasn't prepared to take things to make you compete in bodybuilding because you don't look like a bodybuilder. You're too skinny, right? You're too tall. And so you're not going to look like a bodybuilder. And then Olympic lifting, which I love. But then I started having issues with hips and I couldn't really figure out why. But I had dysplasia and it was never picked up. So I could never sit cross-legged, could never squat properly. So I used to jack my heels up. And my squat actually got really good. I got it up to like 180 for 15 reps at one point, 14 reps. So I'd always do high rep stuff. Yeah, it was always high rep. It was always really pushing those sort of limits. Yeah, but that was with no nose breathing. As soon as the weight stopped, the set's over. So you weren't allowed to stop. So I had very strict rules on it, right? So even now I can still hack squat 4 plates for 12.
I saw a video on your Instagram of you had squatting. So.
Yeah, but that's with double hip replacement. So I have to hack squat now. I can't squat because anything that causes impingement does tend to aggravate it. And that's how we got onto the ski. So because before that we would row. I used to row a bit. And then I had to stop rowing after the surgeries because I did it for a bit, but then things went sort of south again. We had another relationship breakdown. Things didn't work. And for the Arnolds in 2020, we'd paid, the Arnolds, this was the crescendo this is the start of the COVID disasters for business, right? So we'd bought the T-shirts, we'd bought everything, and I bought the ski to do a 300-metre challenge at the Arnold Expo. And I'd spent a bit of time on the ski, but nothing like now. I'd just done a bit here and there, maybe a couple of Ks a week or whatever. I didn't actually really know what I was doing. So I bought the ski, paid for the floor space, paid for the shirts, paid for the shakers, and it was going to be a shaker and shirt deal. Everything was there. And COVID just started and I thought I'd better buy the ski in case the Arnold goes ahead. And it was the last day before and I bought the ski and then they sent the announcement out the next day, the Arnold's cancelled. So anyway, I had the ski, it was at the warehouse, I put it together.
And they're not cheap.
Oh, the ski wasn't the problem. The ski was only 1,800. It was the shirts and shakers were about 15 or 17K.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so
you bought like a lot.
Yeah, well, it was only 1,000 shirts and it was MOQ for shakers. It was 8,000 or 5,000. Anyway.
Oh my God.
Nothing's easy, man. So yeah, you're going to do a shaker and shirt deal and just do them at cost to get, and it was going to be cool and then people would line up and do their 300 metres. Whoever got the best 300 metre time, men and women, would get a year's supply of Rapid Supps. So I thought this would be a great promo. This would be fun, and to get people involved in something they'd never done before, and then the Arnold was cancelled. So now, of course, you're sitting there looking at 25 grand out of cash flow and how are we going to get through this? But that was just the start. That was nothing compared to what was coming, right, with the wastage of product. But yeah, so I was stuck in the warehouse. We were in lockdown and I just started skiing because I was just furious. I just couldn't believe we're shutting down over an airborne virus what? Everyone was so scared and I'm like, mate, 180,000 people die in Australia every year. Not that I'm belittling it, but it made no sense to me.
Definitely. It definitely was a time.
Especially with the lockdowns, I was just furious because I thought, well, just common sense would tell you that if we've got one carrier after a lockdown, the whole thing just starts again anyway. So what is the point? It doesn't make sense. It's an airborne virus. What are you going to do? We can't stop living to prevent dying. So for me, it was just a common sense thing. And people were looking at me like I was a nutcase.
Yeah, right? It was definitely a conflicting time between everything, but I guess when we look back at it and I guess the evidence that is coming out now, I don't know, it's hard. It's hard to have a say on it now, but I can totally agree with how you're feeling.
Because I was looking at, okay, we're shutting down. That's going to cause more damage. the financial disasters are going to cause more damage than an airborne virus. So that was, to me, was just like, no, I just couldn't believe what was happening.
And mate, from a business lens as well, can you speak on that and like how the impact of COVID?
My poor customers in the city. I mean, the poor people, they had, and this is something that no one understood unless you were in it. You got hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of perishable stock. All of a sudden becomes worthless because there's no one there to buy it. Okay, and I'm based in Victoria. The guys in the other states weren't affected, but predominantly my business comes from Victoria because I'm not strong digitally because it's not really what I'm into. Okay, and most of my business is real business. You knock on doors, hey, and that's how I've always done it. But so my poor guys in the city, who are my big customers, just got annihilated. All of a sudden, their sales have just stopped. They're sitting on goods that we didn't know this was going to go for a year and a half. Half of it went out of date. Okay, so a lot of the pre-workouts and the fat burners, they just stopped because gyms were closed. Closing gyms, like I just couldn't believe what was happening. Right, and I was lucky because I could go to my warehouse and work out. But people that normally train, and not unless you train, you don't understand this. You'll get depressed quicker than a normal person. Okay, because you're used to getting those
endorphins
and that hormonal response, and all of a sudden you don't get that. You go down. And you go down harder and you'll try and get it from food or you'll try and get it from anywhere. So I would never not train. It wouldn't matter. I'd have to train. I'd go berserk because you're used to getting and then all of a sudden you don't get it. You go down harder than a normal person. You hit rock bottom real quick, and you have to try and catch yourself and go, what's wrong? But the damage it did to a lot of people and to my poor customers in the city that had to close their stores, and just the financial annihilation alone was just beyond belief. And I said to everybody at that time, this is not government money. This is taxpayer money. It's your money. I said, you have to understand, this is going to cause the inflation. All these problems that we've got now were caused by all this and decisions that were made then that were just terrible decisions, right? And if 25 grand you got here is going to cost you 500 here. It can't not. I said, it's not free. So everyone thought it was great. We're getting $750 for nothing. Mate, it's not. It don't work like that, okay? There's no such thing as something for nothing. If you get something for nothing, someone else has paid for it. It doesn't work like that, right? So, and during COVID, so the shred and we used to have a pre-workout then. Just got we ended up throwing it in the bin because we didn't know it was going to go for 2 years. We didn't know that the sales would go. But the one thing that was selling was the protein.
Yes.
Okay, so then we had to, at the time we're throwing stock in the bin, expand the protein. And so that was just another debacle because the minimum, the MOQs for the Rapid Vegan bag was, back then it was 5,000, 10,000 per flavour. So you had to invest 30, 40 grand just in packaging to get more flavours. Then there was the delay. And a girl asked me recently, because there's choc brownies in the 450, but it's not in the 1 kilo, but it's coming. It's going to be here in the next 2 months. And I said, well, when I did those bags, it was 2:00 in the morning. The heater was off. It was the middle of winter. We were trying to expand the vegan range because it was selling well. And I didn't have any money left on the credit card to buy the packaging. I said the extra 5 grand may as well have been 5 trillion because I didn't have either. Then when you're out, you're out. Mm-hmm. Right, so that's just the packaging before you filled it or anything. So because all the stock had stopped and sales just had gone, and at that point you had to make a decision: do I expand and fight, or do I fold up like a deck chair? And so I just said, "There's no fucking way I'm not going out like this. I'll go out if I make a mistake. I'll go out on my terms. I'm not having government lockdown." I got really stubborn with that shit, right? So I'm not having a government lockdown be the end of me. So I dug in.
Love it. Mate, I have a question as well. Like with all the money issues and everything that's happening, how'd you build your capital? Where's all this money come from? And I guess for young entrepreneurs or people who want to start a business, start offering products, you speak about capital quite heavily, and I can totally imagine like the amount of expenses and costs and money that's going out.
You need a lot of it.
Literally.
And the sad reality for young people now is the barrier to entry is so much higher.
100%.
So say you could start, when I started, and grow into it. So you only needed 3 flavors. And if it worked, you could then expand it. You can't come with 3 flavors now because it's gone to a new level. You need 6 flavors, 8 flavors, 2 sizes, 3 sizes. So your stock holding alone is so much higher. Plus the cost of that stock is so much higher. Everything's just doubled in the last couple of years. So even if you, and this is really sad for young Australians, and it really upsets me because it stops people from doing things that otherwise might work, and we'll never know. It stops people from being able to have freedom or to even try. Okay, so now you can't start with 50K or 100K. I was talking to my manufacturer about this, and he goes, I had people that started 10 years ago with 30 grand. You can't do that now. That's not going to get you one product, okay, one flavor. Okay, so yeah, that's the sad reality because you might have some really awesome ideas and we can't put them into practice because the barrier to entry for housing, for anything is so much higher. How do we get started?
Absolutely.
And then you've got to get a digital presence, and getting a digital presence is not cheap, and it's not easy. We could make a product that turns water into gold. How would anybody find it? How are we going to get on the front page of Google? I mean, you're talking big money to do that, and you're up against some big players. So people talk about when that was so funny when COVID happened. Oh, just sell it online. How's anyone going to find your website? Out of all the websites, and unless you've got a URL that's 16 years old and how's anyone going to find you? So that was going, we've got to pivot. All these fans, yeah, no worries. Do you know what I mean? It's just not that simple to do these things. Okay, so when they all, we're going to pivot out of here and do this, and we're going to, I said, mate, no worries, come show me how. Yeah.
Like the keywords and the buzzwords.
Oh, yeah. It was just, then my poor customers in this, mate, they were getting absolutely annihilated, and no one, I mean, the poor owners, the staff got payments, and what about the poor owner with his stock? And what about, everything? It didn't matter. I mean, even Valentine's Day, that poor restaurant owners have ordered in fresh food. It gets delivered Friday. We're locking down Friday night. Who wears that loss? And that's why there's so many empty spaces now.
It is really sad to see that.
And there's more coming.
Yeah.
Because the inflation, I don't think a lot of people actually know where their wages come from. And I always say this, we are all interlinked. We all need each other. Okay? Because if I don't send out as much goods, my driver doesn't get as much business. Then that stops him from buying something. And we're all linked in. So you can't have someone over here doing extremely well, creaming it, and it affects someone over here. It's just, we're all interlinked in some way. You got these guys now on the wharf wanting a pay rise. The backlog of those containers means no stock because we don't make anything here anymore. I looked at trying to do it, but it's the wages and the rents. The risk to reward is not there. So who's going to do it? Okay, so these guys that stop these things on the wharves, what that means is jobs, and lots of them. Because you think the cost of living's bad? Try the cost of business. It's double. So you don't know the stress your employer's under a lot of the time. You don't know what he's dealing with. And he might be this close. You don't know. And that poor bloke's got everything on the line. Okay? And like a lot of people don't understand that the cost of that good, your wages is in the cost of that good. They all just think, I'm not getting paid that much. Man, you don't know how valuable you are. I said this to a delivery driver once. I said, man, you don't know what you're worth. I said, it might have taken me 5 years to get that guy to order. And you go in there and throw the boxes around and damage something, man. I said, you're a very important person. he just thinks he's got some shit job. It's not a shit job, man.
Nah, mate. Yeah.
You don't understand the importance of what you're doing. And if you've got, and you do it well, have some pride in it. And quite often people, there's this war between bosses, and it's not like that. We need each other.
Absolutely, mate.
And I said this to someone the other day. It was great, and I said, look, go try it, man. Go try it. Go, you put up your money and you go try it. Go try employing people. Go see what it's like. And let's see how you go.
100%. I think we're all becoming, like, job snobs almost. Like you look at other people, say a garbage man, and you're like, well, they're just a garbage man. And it's like, mate, if they don't come by every week and pick up your fucking rubbish, then what happens?
Yeah. But we've also become a land of the I read something that they call it the land of the fat cat bureaucrat, right? So bureaucrats, government work, they're getting enormous rewards that are non-deserving. And that has to stop. Because we need people, business creates jobs. Bureaucrats don't create, they're just taking from a taxation system. You know, so we need to encourage business. And that's the sad thing about Australia now, to encourage young people to just have a try. If you've got an idea, how can you even try now? How can you even get started?
I remember growing up and learning about business management and how Australia was like one of the most prominent countries for having small business owners.
Yeah.
Like we have, I think it was like 80 or 90% of small businesses of businesses are small businesses. Yeah. And I think the narrative has changed so much in terms of now people are not willing to have a go, not willing to have a crack because the barrier to entry is so high. Yeah. And now it's like easier to just slip into a corporate job or slip into government and earn your salary and just take, essentially.
Yeah, we need ingenuity. Australians are awesome. I love Australia. Like you have ideas, you have thoughts. We need to develop that. I was talking to a young dude the other day and he'd never even heard of it. I said, man, have you heard of the America's Cup? He hadn't even he didn't even know about what happened in the 80s. Okay, with the America's Cup. That's the biggest sporting victory in the history of the world. And he hadn't even heard of it. I said, that's Australian ingenuity at its finest. I said, where the fuck is that today?
Where is
that today? Where has that gone? You know, you got guys like that was Ben Lexon. He didn't even have a degree. And he designed the wing keel. I mean, how good was he going? But then Bondi to back it. All these things happen. And it put Australia in its place. It was just fantastic, you know. But where's that? We still have these ideas, but no one's doing anything. I'll ask you, man, young people, do you have these ideas? Do you sit there and think, fuck, I really want to do this? Or
Oh, absolutely, mate. And I think this is the whole reason for podcasting. It's like to share these stories, to continue to spark more entrepreneurships, so be it, or just creativity as well, and like giving it a crack. I think we're slipping so far into this idea of what's the next stepping stone. Oh gosh, I don't have something lined up. Fuck me, like the world is over. But it's like we have so much time to live and so many things to do as well. Why just pigeonhole ourselves into this one office job?
I always say it's the phone.
It's been
the death of creation.
You reckon?
Oh yeah. Yeah, because people spend 3 or 4 hours a day on that thing, right? And that is just pure entertainment. And it's just wasted time. If you think of all the good music, it was in the 90s, yeah.
Yes, good music. There's some good music in the 2000s.
Well, they just remake the city.
True.
So back then, when we were young, we didn't have this thing. So if you wanted to get, I just went to the gym for 6 hours. Because I wanted to be, we didn't know. I just wanted to get in shape. I remember seeing Arnold in his movies and we said, fuck, we got to get into the gym. It was, two people talk about influencers. Those guys are the reason, Arnold Stein are the reason why any gym exists now. And there's so many because we saw that and went, we got to get in shape, man. So we started lifting and we just wanted to be better. But our kids saw us do that. So they copied it, right? So I took my son to the gym. I took my sons to the gym. Of course, it was just part of life. So of course they're going to be involved in it, and it's part of their life. But yeah, when you think about progressions and we've gone backwards, because back then there was nothing else to do. So the musos that I know back then, they practiced 8 hours a day. When it was school holidays, that was where passion was. So if you were passionate about music, you'd spend 12 hours. I always say you can always tell it's your passion when time can go like that and it doesn't even matter. And you've got energy. It's the first thing I did when I rocked up here. I was talking to your dad, right? Yeah. You could see it, man. We got to get zone 2. We can do it.
Yeah,
man. Keith, you're a beast. You're going to annihilate that bike. And today is the day you make that rower your bitch, right? So today, because I line up in front of the ski before every session. I said, today, Mark Dale's going to win. Today I'm going to win, you fucking. Because sometimes the ski wins and sometimes I win. But yesterday the ski won. But yeah, today I'm going to win. Okay, and we attack it with that attitude. So yeah, when you're passionate about what you're doing, like I was with your dad, man, if we spend some more time in zone 2, you'll be able to do this and do your easy stuff easy and do your hard stuff hard. And it's not tiring, right? It's what you're into. So the musicians that I knew back then, they just played 12 hours a day. I went to gym 6 hours. We didn't have these distractions. We didn't have these mind-numbing shit coming through your face that you just stare at.
Yeah.
We did stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what makes you 15,000 hours, they say, to get good at what you do, right? I always said that to my son. He wanted to be we were basketball, and I said, well, 15,000 hours, mate, before you get paid 1 cent. I said, so last time I checked, we're only up to about 4,500, so we better go do some work. Yeah. But yeah, that's what we did. We'd be trying to figure out, how can we make money? How can we do this? How can we do this? Buy these jeans for $30, we can sell them for 40. We'd be doing stupid shit. But musicians back then, they just played hours and hours and hours because we weren't distracted.
So do you have advice for this, I guess, upcoming generation who are glued to a phone and I guess projecting that they can't find a passion or struggling to find a passion? Like, what advice do you have to give
Well, we
to
don't know
these people?
what your passion is till you start, right? So just start doing stuff. Don't say no to anything. Put your phone down. Meet people. I met you. You'll be the same person. I listened to this guy called Skip Ross for years. He does a dynamic living series. This was before podcasts and anything. I don't even know whether he's alive now, but he went to a seminar, and at the seminar they said, you should always go to every seminar because you'll meet like-minded people, right? And you'll be the same person you are in 7 years' time, but for 2 things: the people you meet, the books you read. The people you meet, the books you read. The people you meet, the books you read. That's the only thing that will change you. Okay? So yeah, I listen to that a lot. And if you go out to be a friend, you'll find friends. Okay? And things will change. Doors will open. You never know who you're going to meet. But you're not going to meet anyone when you're like this. It doesn't happen, right? Though the same token, if things are going really bad for you, that generally more bad stuff comes because you're in that down moment, right? But you've got to try and turn that around. And that's when we started doing ski when there was bad. I thought, I've just got to get better at something. Okay? I've just got to hold on to something here because things ain't going the way I want them to. And it's just, you start questioning your life choices and then this is just a mess, that's just a mess. But yeah, put your phones down. Go out and meet somebody. Go and talk to someone. Go and create, because we need humans. This idea that you can do it on your own is just the most deluded aspect of life. You can't do anything on your own. You need support. You need human energy. Human energy is I train a lot on my own sometimes, but I love going to gym more so because there's human energy there. Okay? You need people, man. To think that you can do anything. And the sad thing for me is I'm on my own a lot, right? Which is not what I wanted, but it's just the way it's sort of gone. And that'll change. But you cannot do anything in your own strength. You need people. Solitary confinement is the worst punishment. So you see these ideas from these guys, and people don't understand the marketing and everything, the teams they have working on to build a persona. It's not reality. Do you know what I mean? It's not real. You can't treat your partner like the way, the things you see, you can't just dismiss it. That's not reality. Okay.
Mate, was there a moment that stuck out to you that has created this ideology? Like, other than a business context, like, has something
it changes
happened?
All the time because I'll be a different Mark from what I was 3 months ago. Okay, you're constantly changing, and you realise, and this is the problem. I tried to explain it to someone the other day, and I gave them an analogy, right? And I use this one often. I said, because you make the best decision with what you know at that time. And 10 seconds later, you can realise that was a complete fucking bad decision because you might know something different. But now you got to pay the price. And this is the analogy I lose. So I always say you got to be very careful with the decisions you make. And I said, whether you believe in God or not, we can use the analogy of Judas, right? I said, now here's a guy who spent time with Jesus and saw the miracles, saw everything he did, and saw this amazing, whether you believe in this or not is irrelevant. I said, for some reason, he got in his head, I'm going to sell this man for 30p. And he did that. He made the transaction, right? And he thought about it and he went, oh my God, what have I done? Now, I've had those, oh my God, what have I done moments. Okay? And he's gone and given the silver back. And he said, just give me him back. And they said, no. You put wheels in motion that can't be undone. And now you got to live with it.
Mate, love it.
Okay?
Yeah.
And that happens. Some shit that's happened to me, you couldn't pay $1 trillion to organise. Right? You could not do it. Okay? And you have those moments.
Is there one that sticks out for you? Say a business decision, a relationship decision that you just...
Oh, relationship decisions, yeah, but I don't...
You don't have to get into it.
Because they're just too upsetting. And you're just shocking choices. But you weren't yourself at the time. And you weren't thinking clearly. It was sort of like a forest and trees moment. Do you know what I mean? And you weren't in a good state to be making a decision. You shouldn't have made that. And then it was just a wrong decision. That follows another wrong one. But I always say don't try to give yourself too hard a time. Because if Judas can do it, we've done it as well. Do you know what I mean? Right now, business decisions we constantly have to make on a daily basis. Right now, we've got an issue with the packaging for the 1 kilo bag. I mean, this is the bag here.
Yep, pull it out.
Okay, here we go.
So those watching on YouTube?
Yeah, this bag is a custom bag because didn't like the bags that everyone was using. They're all the same and the powder goes up your arm and it doesn't seal properly. Anyway, with a custom bag, the MOQ, once again, minimum order quantity is at least 15,000 plus or minus 30%. So it ends up being 20,000. It might be 70 or 80 cents. I think they're 90 cents a bag from it. They're 18 grand order, which you've got to prepay. Now, we ordered these back in August. This is just one example of the business decisions and things that happen on a daily basis that everybody in business has to make. For some reason, they didn't ship when they were supposed to ship. Now, God knows why. We don't know. It just didn't happen, right? Because once again, that's another story where I've had a disaster with protein and it cost enormous amounts of money because it missed the boat and it wasn't free on board and it went backwards and forwards and every time it got picked up and taken there was $1,400 there, $1,400. So by the time the protein got here, I'd lost everything. But with these bags in particular, we're about to run out of vanilla. Now, they didn't phone me because they air freighted some because the company who I buy them from air freighted just 500 of each. I didn't need the other flavors. I would have just taken the 2,000 vanilla. So we're about to run out of vanilla. 500 is not enough. I'm going to have to reorder another 20,000 bags. I'm going to make a decision on Monday and air freight more over while the others are still stuck on the sea. So you've got 40 grand just straight out of cash flow just in packaging, just for one product. And that decision needs to be made Monday. Okay. So
good luck, mate.
Yeah. So it sounds, when people say, they don't realise the amount of moving parts that go into a product.
It's like, I just want to start like a protein.
Yeah. It's just that's it. And the other example, which was great because they go, what about shakers? You have shakers? I said, yeah, I've got stainless steel shakers. They go, what about samples? Yeah. I said, okay, yeah, here's a stainless steel shaker here. I bought this. This one's for you, by the way.
Oh, thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
She goes, how much are shakers? And I said, 21 grand. She goes, what do you mean 21 grand? I said, well, that's the MOQ. So it's not to get you 3,000. That's your minimum order quantity. Here's your shaker.
Oh my God.
Okay. So yeah, you can't just do things and go, okay, I'll just take 100 of those. It don't work like that.
Yeah.
Because the warehouse isn't, the factory's not firing up the machine for 100. If it does, it'll charge you $200 a shaker. Okay. So yeah, and then they go, what about samples? I said, yeah, samples are great. Samples are fantastic. The MOQ, okay, for one flavour, which might be this one, you're looking at 10,000.
10,000.
10,000. So then you've got to do what's called the rewind, which is all the packaging, all the printing, everything for the outside. The rewind gets done somewhere else. So this is a 6-month project. Everything works in 6-month blocks.
Is that a pre-workout or is that a...
That's an amino.
An amino.
That's the EAA, so branch chains and essentials, right? And so something like this, you've got all the rewind to do that gets made at a different printing facility. Then that has to get shipped to the manufacturer. Manufacturer has to make the bulk. He then sends it to where this gets manufactured. 10,000 MAQ per flavour. So every flavour you're looking at is 10 grand, 20 grand. I might have 7, 8, 9 different samples. Like, how come you haven't got the sample of that? And I said, well, there's a really interesting story why we don't have the sample of the chocolate. Because the chute that it goes down to get into the rewind, because the chocolate's got a bit more fat in it, it gets sticky and it won't get down the chute. So it gets stuck there. So yeah, every time you go to do the chocolate, it doesn't work. The other option is to go to a flat pack facility, which that makes it like that, and it comes up. But the minimum order quantity for that's 50,000. Okay. So all these things that happen in manufacture.
Mark, you're scaring everyone who wants to get into business, mate.
But you'll find out when you get started, it's just like, what do you mean? And it's really interesting to see the chain of events, and people go to the shelves, well, why isn't this here? I go, well, I'll tell you.
You want to know?
I said, but we used to work in like 3-month blocks. We have to work in 9-month blocks now because there's so many delays, and then we've got the wharves, and we learned that from COVID that cost of goods just went up 600% on some products, and we couldn't even get them because everything shut down. Right, so you can't just shut the world down and turn it back on. It's like a traffic jam, right? There's a lag. Okay. So yeah, and we're still in what we call the bullwhip. And now you've got war, so all these things affect shipping. Now you can't go through, so you've got to go, so that's an extra 4 weeks, more fuel. So before COVID, a 40-foot container from the US was $4 grand, $5 grand, now it's 30. During COVID, it went up to 30 grand. And then people go, well, how come this has gone up in price? Okay. But it's not the companies.
I see.
You know, there's all this talk about, and it gets kicked around like a political football, and the politicians love it. And what we really should be looking at is what they're getting paid, because that's criminal. Okay, that is criminal. For no risk, no reward. No, you're not a doctor, mate. Okay, but they use the supermarkets or the banks, which every Australian owns anyway. In their superannuation. Banks aren't owned by banks. Supermarkets aren't owned by supermarkets. They're owned by Australians with their superannuation. So you better hope they're doing good, because that means you're doing good. Okay? But they use them as these footballs. And with their wages and rents and everything else, they say, oh, Commonwealth Bank made 10 billion here, but they probably lent 10 trillion to make 10 billion, that 1%, you know. And without a bank, what can you do? They've lent you money to try and increase your wealth as well, but they just like to use them and bag them. And they give them a really hard time, and they think business is doing, mate, a lot of us in business, we pay ourselves last. It's not what you think it is. And the CEOs that run these things, mate, they're normally dead in 10 years because the stress and the pressure they're under is just too much. Like I say, I know there's some guys in business that are very successful, but they might have 5 or 6 or 7 legal cases going at once, which is just horrendous because it's nothing they've done. It's just they had a contract with somebody and they've broken it. And that's always it comes out of, and that's what I call fuck off money. Now, I don't have that. I wish I did, because you can then litigate against someone because they did the wrong thing. And you can say, you know what, you're going to pay. But litigation costs. And I don't have the money for litigation. So you just have to wear it.
Yeah, literally.
You just, because it doesn't mean anything.
Such an interesting lens from like a business owner's perspective as well.
Oh, yeah. People don't pay you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure. Take them to court. Well, that's, by the time you've gotten them there, you've lost. It's taken your focus of what you're doing, so you've lost. You get there and you get awarded. Yeah. And he just said, I got no money. That's it, you're out. Okay, so in the early days, you sort of tried to take people who didn't pay you or this and that. Yeah. And you've won. I won.
At what cost?
Exactly. I didn't win. And he didn't pay anyway. So you get, but yeah, when you've got fuck off money, you can pursue. Okay, but these top guys, man, the pressure that's on them at any point, because once again, you're always only dealing with people. And if you can manage 4 people, you're doing real well. Yeah, but we need each other. You know, so those guys, before they sent those bags, if they had to phone me and said, oh, do you need a particular flavour? I would have said, yeah, just send vanilla, don't worry about the others. I wouldn't be in this extra 20 grand mess. And I'm only very small. So imagine what goes on in the upper big business size of things, and because it's just people, and it just takes one thing like a phone call or a this or a that doesn't come, and it just puts you in this corner.
Absolutely, mate. Mark, I didn't even ask what your educational background was.
Absolutely none.
Absolutely not. What was schooling like? Like, you've sort of gotten into this entrepreneurial game and everything. Where did your education take you?
Oh, I grew up in Auckland, in South Auckland, and this is the funny. I did okay in school. I never really naturally talented at anything. I just sort of stuck at it, So I studied a lot. And I did okay, and I was going to go, I had two options. I was going to go to the army, or I was going to go to town planning or something like that, because I was very good at geography and English. And I didn't do either. I come to Australia. I never went back. I came to Australia, and I was on the Gold Coast with my brother, and I just started working, and that was it. So I've always read a lot. I was very poor at certain points, and so I read a lot about shares and investing. And anyone that's ever made it always talked about compounding. So I looked at that, and I really started trying to get my head around that, and I sort of worked it out. Whereas if I could borrow $10 million, I would do it, and I would buy bank shares. Okay, but people don't think outside of that, and as young guys, you've got to start really thinking. Home ownership it's an emotional sell, but you're buying debt at the end of the day. Okay, and that debt doesn't exist. That $800,000 doesn't exist. The only time it exists is if you can't pay it, and then it becomes realised. So you're paying all this interest. I know you'd be paying rent anyway, but rent's a lot cheaper. But if you invested the other in between, because people don't understand interest rates and things. The last 15 years, no one's had an ass kicking. The last 20 years, no one's had an ass kicking. So we used to get one every 7 years, and they'd be clean out. So it hasn't been a true capital, work hard, make it scenario. Have a good idea, have a good product, because a lot of people have gotten there through cheap money, and it's been very cheap.
What do you mean by that?
So you could borrow at 2 or 3%. Okay, so you could have a zombie, a business and you could still be okay. All right, because your funding wasn't hard to get. Now the funding's hard to get, and you got to service 12, and you got to service a lot. So even with houses, I mean, look what a mate of mine wrote a paper recently. He said, if my kids earn $400,000, they can't buy a home in New South Wales.
Yeah.
Now who's earning $400,000? Because he said, because after taxation, it's 200.
Yeah.
So they've got to save $100,000 a year for 10 years to borrow another 700 to get in the game. He said, this is just insane, which tells me it'll change. Something will change, because that's not reality. It's
not. Yeah.
It's monopoly, right? It's not even real.
Exactly.
It's not even real. But that makes everyone just give up.
I think, that's such
and that's so sad.
It is so sad. I think,
fuck that.
I speak to so many people who are my age, and they're like, I don't even think I'm going to buy a house or like have anywhere to live.
But what's the point? Like, so he said at the end of it, and this was the thing that we were talking about before. It just shattered me, because he said, Australia's no longer an autocratic. He goes, there's no idea that if you work hard or if you study hard and you'll make it. You won't. All that matters now is when your parents die and where they live. And how shit is that? That's the death of creation, because you guys won't try. You just, and that's shit. That's really bad. And how did we get there? It didn't happen by accident. It happened from financial policies, from keeping in. If we hadn't have let interest rates go to 2% or 1%, that would never have happened. And money would never have been that cheap. So when money's that cheap, the house price can go here. Of course it can, because to service $800,000 at 2%, 16K, no big deal. Service $800,000 at 8%, $64,000 just an interest. You'll get an ass kicking, right? So you can't do that. So normally when interest rates go up, asset prices come down. Now it hasn't happened yet because there's a lag.
Because we've turned it off.
Yeah, there's a lag in between. So in between, you've still got old money, which bought their house at 400, can sell it for 1.3. Doesn't matter if you buy it for 1.4, because you never made that money anyway. It was just what we call market money. Because you buy and sell in the same market, it makes no difference, right? But how do you get started now? And why would you want to be a debt slave?
Definitely. What are some books that you've read that have like educated you on this topic, and how do you keep informed with it for a young individual who's trying to get into it?
Oh, David Goggins' book I liked a lot. Okay.
I feel like you seem like a David Goggins stan.
No, I'm not a fan. I just liked his book a lot.
Oh, okay.
I'd have to go back through and look at. I've read a lot of biographies, and it's just everybody has a story.
That's it.
Okay, everybody has a story, and everybody should write a biography because it's your story. And I always the finance I just read about, and I understand maths and I understand dividends and I understand franking credits, and I explain it to people now. I said, let's really have a look at this. Because I was talking to I said to the guys, I get coffee, and then I said, fuck this, man. Let's make money. How are we going to make money today? So when I get, how are we going to make money today? Who's going to buy Rapid today, and why would they?
Yeah.
Why would they buy Rapid over all the brands? Why would they buy? So I asked these questions every morning, and I said,
but you have to.
Yeah, of course. Well. So I said, why the fuck would somebody buy mine? And if I can't answer that, and if I'm not marketing that, then I'm failing, right? So. And sometimes you get a bit lost with the digital marketing because it's a very difficult space, and I haven't had a lot of great success there, and I get very frustrated with it. But it's probably because I'm fucking 52. I've got this fucking, and I never. But the funny thing is, with the Rapid Insta, I get the most feedback on my training, which is really funny because I thought, who could give a shit about some old dude? But they do. So yeah, I'm going to start a new segment called Train with the Owner. And I want to get some young dudes, and we're going to train together, and some young Insta chicks, and we'll work out together, and we'll see what happens. And I'm going to be just good fun. But anyway, the books I've read, I've got a lot of them. I'll have to get The Boys in the Boat. I love that book. It's a great book. Such a good book because the movie didn't do it justice, but the book was brilliant. And just to see where these guys come from. And there's 5 areas of life that are really important. You've got your family, your spirituality, your support, your finance, all these. And they were, at certain points, I've been at absolute fucking zero in every area. You're emotionally destroyed. You're financially destroyed. You're destroyed in every way, right? And these guys were absolutely destroyed. They'd come from the depression, no food and hunger and just rejection, and Joe, the guy the story's about, he sometimes when he trained it was just like he just just couldn't get it together, and then other times it was just awesome, and he got it together for that gold. Do you know what I mean? And he won, and it's just such a good story to read, because I sort of think, well, in spite of all the disasters, in spite of all the trauma, all fuck that, we're going to win. And I don't know how, but we're going to win in business. We have to. You've been through too much to not, and I said that the other day. I said, even if you don't win, the fact you tried counts. So I say this to everybody when they work out, right? The fact I said this recently, I give a seminar on skis. I love doing ski seminars because I'll teach people how to use it. I said, the fact that you're here means you're a winner. Because you're fucking trying, right? Anyone that's bringing up a family, trying to pay their bills, trying to live a good life and works out, you're a winner, man. You're trying your best. Okay, now that matters. That matters. At some point, somewhere, that will matter because a lot of people aren't. And it just, so the book, The Boys in the Boat, I really like that a lot. I'm rereading it now. I've read a lot of books on psychology. Love is a Choice.
Oh, I've heard of that one. Yeah.
Great book. Very powerful book. Very fucking hard to read.
Yeah. Did a lot strike out to you?
Oh, I've had to reread that, and even now I still you repeat the cycle. Okay, if you're not careful, you repeat your cycles. You repeat your cycles. It's like a fucking homing pigeon, and it's just you repeat it, and you got to try and catch yourself doing it. The book is brilliant. Love is a Choice. It tells you why you do what you do. Written by 3 Christian psychiatrists, whether you believe in them or not, irrelevant. Okay, but the book is brilliant. But I've read some things and had to stop and go, oh my God. And read it again, read it again, read it again. I'll read it again now. Okay? Because you come from dysfunction, you create dysfunction because it's your normal. All right? And it's not healthy. And so you have these disasters, okay? And you think, how did we get here? And I always say this, and I got this from the Skip Ross Dynamic Living Seminar, which I listen to a lot. Why do problems come? And 99% of my problems come from a choice I've made.
Mm.
Okay? He says in that seminar, I'm remembering it all now, Harold Morris was a guy who spent 20 years on death row. He uses this as an example, as in choices you made for problems coming. Harold Morris used to hang out with some pretty bad dudes. He was young, he's in the 60s, 70s. His mum told him, Harold, don't hang out with those boys, nothing good's going to come from that, right? And he said, yeah, sure, Mum, no worries. One day they go, jump in the car, Harold, let's get out of here. He goes, you want to drive? He goes, I don't have a license. Doesn't matter, man, let's just drive anyway. So he's driving along. They got out the car, they get back in the car. Get out of here, man, let's got to get out of here. He's floored it. Out he goes. 2 months later, knock on the door, it's the police. What they'd done is they'd gone to the liquor store, shot the owner, stolen all the money. They got arrested. They said Harold did it. No cameras, nothing back then. Different time. Harold spent 20 years on death row. Didn't know. Didn't want to see anyone for 10 years. For 10 years, didn't see anybody. No visitors. Didn't know he was going to get killed. Didn't know what was going to happen. He was only a young kid. He's in death row. People would kill you for a can of Pepsi. Okay. And then his brother come to see him. He started realising that he made his choice. He made his choice. And then that compounded to this. Okay, so at some point somewhere we made a choice. And it compounded to this. So quite often I'd get there and go, where the fuck did I get here? And then you look back.
Yeah.
And you made your choice. And it was a shit choice. Okay? But you don't see it.
Until it compounds.
Forest and trees. Okay? Harold eventually got a full pardon. And he went around doing seminars in high schools in the US on how you need to choose your friends very carefully.
Incredible.
Okay? So yeah, that was from one of the seminars I read. I just remember that now. But yeah, read about these kind of things. Read about these things.
Nah, thanks for sharing, man.
Not the rubbish you carry.
From the phone.
Read about real people. Read about biographies. Every biography, every meeting, go to everything. Don't say no to anything. Don't sit at home. When we first got our licenses and shit, it was so cool because there was one phone. It was a one of these
little dial thing, yeah.
right? And I remember when push buttons come out, we just thought that was amazing. Right? Look at that, this is so real. We went around to my mate's house so we could use it, right? It was just insane. But you'd phone your friend, he wasn't there. Let's go get him. So you drive around to his place, he wasn't there, you'd see someone else, jump in, man. It was a social time. It was a different time.
Definitely.
We should probably get back to a bit more of that because I sort of think everybody's sort of hurting, man. And this is not a healthy thing to be, you're alone. You should be around people.
Yeah, such a small thing, but go for morning walks and try to sometimes have headphones in, but trying not to have it as well. And just saying good morning to people on the way over. It's just a simple thing
I do a lot of bushwalking, right?
Oh, yeah.
Every time I love the bush.
Yeah.
Especially Australia. I love it, all right? So every time I go I say hello to everybody on the path.
Literally.
Because you know what? You might break your ankle. They might carry you out. We don't know what. You might get bitten by a snake. We don't know what the hell's going to. Now, if you're a root breeder, fuck him. You can stay there. Cover him with some dirt.
He said hi to me. Yeah,
that's okay. Yeah.
Literally.
But yeah, you should always say hello. You don't know.
Literally. I mean, we just got curious as well. And that's how we met.
Yeah, from buying a pair of pants. And look, here we are. But it's, you need to. The sad reality is now we're all connected, but we're isolated. And I see it a lot. And young people, they don't know how to say it. They don't know how.
No, literally.
I go to the gym, I go, can I work in with you, man? They go, they have someone hasn't spoken. I say, get the fuck out of the way, man. I'm going to do a set while you do. Do you know what I mean? But they don't know what to respond with, or
even how to engage the conversation.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
I'm not going to sit here and say like I haven't felt that before, but I have. Like, and I don't know how to explain it.
It's kind of awkward. Yeah,
it is so awkward,
and they can't go up and say hello to someone they don't know. It's like if they go out somewhere, they have to stick in their pods. Go to the other pod, man. Go say, hey. I said, how do guys meet girls? And I'm just like,
swiping on apps.
Well, yeah, shit. And it's just like ordering a pizza. There's no connection. See, when we did it, right back then, you had to go in front her.
Yeah.
Oh, you'd be shitting yourself.
Yeah, shitting your ducks.
Your mates would be going, out, you weak freak. So you'd have to get other balls. You'd have to get some balls. Go, hey, you want to dance? Or you want to dance? Anyway, you'd go to the movies. You know, you weren't sure whether she was keen. And it was kind of fun because you got to know each other. And then there's a connection. And you go, oh, you got to go for the handhold or look at the arm. Yeah. Whereas now it's like ordering a pizza. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, come over. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
This is just, you know what I mean? This is just, what the hell? It's just like, nah. Yeah. It's taken the fun and the getting to know someone out of it. And it's just like, this is just weird.
Literally, because it's all there for you. Age, name, I don't know, hobbies.
Because I say this about another, you know, who you're attracted to. You can meet someone who's phenomenally attractive and they become ugly real quick. You know, or you can meet someone that's just got something about them and they become real attractive real quick. You know, it's always the pack. It's the personality. It's the fun. It's the... You'd be talking to them with their little hands going and they enjoy, you know, and it's just like, yeah, you're cute. You know? But that's what, you can't get that from this. Like it seems weird to me. Okay, but that's disconnection.
But it's almost this like standoff as well. It's like if you go out and ask someone or like approach them, they think you're weird.
They think you're weird.
Exactly.
Yeah, like it's I went out with my sons once and I just started talking to him. I said, Dad, people think you're weird, man. You can't do that shit. I said, well, that's what we used to do. Back in the 90s, I was in Queensland recently for business and I went to a place where I used to work and it was on Thursday nights. I was 18, so we're talking 34 years ago. Right? This is a dinosaur. It's a Jurassic Park. Okay, so there was a place called The Patch in Coolangatta where I used to work as I was a bouncer back then. Okay, so doorman. And I was a boxer. Different time. And no cameras, none of that shit, right? So it actually was better because if you played up, you got belted. And that was it. And so no one played up. And if they did that, you know what's going to happen. And the police, they didn't give a shit. And they did more belting than anybody, right? So it was just like, but it was very disciplined and everyone, it was pretty good. But we used to have dollar night on a Thursday night. So $1 drinks.
Dollar
drinks till 1 o'clock in the morning. Can you imagine how messy that shit got? Dollar drinks. You can go out for $20 and just get.
Mate, you
could have a great night, get a kebab, a night out, and a lift home, all for $20.
Wow.
So that was just a different. But what the interactions were just it was fun. You know, it was a good time. When you guys go out now, you're on your phones, and it's just weird. But you look at us like we're weird, I guess. But it was just, I don't know. It seems very isolated. And I think that kills a lot of people's thoughts and it kills the creativity.
Well, like you said, we need human connection. We need to be able to bounce off people as well.
You can't do anything in your own strength. You can't. I don't care what anyone says. I wish I had more support. I just can't afford it right now. But that's my ultimate dream is to put a team together and we all work together. And we bounce ideas off each other, and that human energy is ultimately going in one direction. You know, you can't get that from a phone. You know, so even though people always talk about the success of this, and it's been fantastic in some ways, but it's been the biggest killer of personal relationships just from what I've seen. It has been nothing good about it in that area.
absolutely. Like pros and cons as well. Like you get to connect with so many people, but then again, you're isolated.
Are you really connected?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you really connected?
Are you really connected?
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's funny because people wear it as a badge of honor too, because I often wondered why they buy certain brands. So I ask them questions. So why do you buy that brand? Oh, I've seen her from the time she only had 1 million followers and now she's got 3 million, and they feel like they're part of this journey. I said, you're part of buying a $10 item for $90. I mean, it's just like, but it fascinates me. It makes people feel like they're part of something. But
are you?
Are you? Yeah, that's the question. Yeah,
literally,
are you? I believe in great product, great price, everybody wins, right? But there's a lot of manipulation on that area from the company, just with the psychology and that was what happened over COVID. I was just laughing so much because when they used the terminology was so manipulative. You know, if you don't, first it was, second it was regional metro. You know, when they did the COVID split, the essential, non-essential.
Oh yeah.
And that was metro, regional. And everyone's fighting, trying to kill each other. I just said, this is so manipulative. I said, can't the sheer manipulation alone make you just stop and go, hang on a second?
True.
And then it was
Oh my God, I forgot that was the thing.
Yeah. Remember the metro? I remember going to, and because I didn't, fuck that. No one's taken my freedom. Mine's not for sale. I used to 5Ks, jam it. Do you know what I mean? Oh, fuck that. So I go, and I'm an essential worker. Where is the badge of honor? No one cares about your fucking. But then it went metro, regional, then it was vaccinated, unvaccinated. It was just like crap. I said, mate, this is clearly you haven't been divorced. I said, this is amateur manipulation. I said, and you've got to keep safe. There is no fucking safe. When you get in a car, it's not safe. You don't stop living to be safe. Like it's just, and unfortunately, 4 Victorians have lost it. Well, what about the other 500? You know, I was just seeing that was the manipulation of all this, and some people use that in sales, and it's just like that's not where I want to be. You know what I mean? It's it's interesting to see, but yeah, that someone else forgot about. I said, do you remember the metro regional, the essential, non-essential, and you had to go through the checkpoint and all that shit? Yeah, I said, mate, these are the same people that you're putting your faith in that interest rates are going to come down. I said, haven't you learnt yet? so these are the same guys that got together on a Friday night. Now I want to know who did this and said, okay, you can play golf, but fuck me, you can't go fishing.
Yeah, literally.
You got to wear a mask when you do this. It's an airborne virus, but you got to take. You know what I mean? Like you got to. But so you'd be take your mask off, put your mask. Like come on, man.
Literally, mate. So I guess in terms of the business perspective as well, you talk about the manipulation and the words and tactics that are being used. Yeah. I guess you see that a lot with really big protein companies or supplement companies. Yeah. How do you compete with that as Rapid Supps?
Well, I don't. It's just not. I just don't want to go down that road. I believe in fair product, fair price. I'll always say to everybody. I know it's funny now because you see the YouTube sensations, right? The marketing that's done for these guys or these people, it's just fucking amazing. And I was somewhere recently and a lady, she asked me, because I often get asked questions even when I'm just in store because I must look like I work there, I don't know. She goes, Celtic sea salt. She goes, what's that really good for? And I said, holding more water and drinking more water. And so I use a lot of salt because I lose a lot of water because I do about 15 Ks a day.
Literally.
I need those salt, that electrolytes. She said, I don't want to hold any more water. I said, well, don't worry. You're about 75% water anyway. I said, no, another 500 mil ain't going to matter. But she thought it was some miracle. And I said, yeah, well, it might have some trace elements in there that maybe normal salt doesn't have. I said, but it's not. These are the things I call the 0.5 percenters. And everybody at the moment seems to be fixated on these 0.5%. And they'll stand there and worry about it. I said, man, your calories, your training block, your heart health, your zone 2, your zone 5 work will do this much. These things will do this much.
Literally.
Okay. And I always say with a supplement is part of your regime. Okay. And it's interesting to see people, and they ask me, well, what do you use? And I'll use 4 things flat out. And they're generally using more than I am. Right? So a vegan protein, 100%. because that helps keep me fuller as well. Because vegan keeps you very full, and I get very hungry, and I want to kind of try and keep my.
Is that an actual thing? Do you get fuller off vegan?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
It's got much more satiety. Keeps you much more satiated. Okay, so vegan protein I'll use 3 or 4 cream of rice post workout. I wish I'd have done a lot more with carbs post workout, especially ski workouts, because I need glycogen replenishment so I can train again. Creatine, absolutely, most proven, and pump. Okay, so I just use 4 things, pretty much flat out. I'll use some aminos in there as well too sometimes, but just those are my 4. And I'll speak to people, and they've got a stack like, and they're recreational gym goers. So I'll say to anybody, protein number 1 and creatine number 2, and worry about the rest once you've got that and a good training block, right? And they just look at me and go,
and actually working hard as well.
Yeah. I said, because these will complement a vegan. I always say is awesome for appetite control, and everybody's looking for. There's a lot of stim, a lot of high stim, and I've got to get the buzz. And I said, yeah, but it's a world of diminishing returns. Where do we go after 300 mega caffeine? 400, then 450, then 500. Where do we go? I said, give yourself a break. Let your receptors, calm down.
Neutralize a little bit.
You find you're not sleeping. It's time for it, change it up. Change something or reduce it slowly and come down. And I say, you can keep your pre-workout in the fridge. It never goes hard. But the ingredients that are in these products are microscopic and go hard. But if you keep them in the fridge, they'll never go hard. So if you plan on reducing your usage of pre, you can still use the pre. Just use half as much, add a scoop of a non-stim to it, or as you start weaning off, right? But just keep it in the fridge, it won't go hard. But yeah, some people have these massive stacks. And I always talk about calories, because a supplement has to be built into a plan, okay? And the vegan is so effective, or a protein, so because it's only 100 calories, but it's a huge amount of protein. And we need more protein. We have the signals in our genetic metabolism to say, I can't eat anymore. So it shuts off, right? You can't eat anymore. You're full. That's satiated feeling. We don't have that for carbs and sugars.
No.
And I will prove this to you at Easter. So you'll be sitting there and it's bunny time, right? So you're going to bunny, right? Get all bristled up and you eat this thing. And that's fucking awesome, right? And then 30 minutes later, it's like,
I want another.
Yeah. So it's because we don't have this. So we're overfed but undernourished because our food is very empty, and a lot of the food is they've taken certain proteins out, so you don't get full, so you buy more. Consumerism, of course. Okay, so yeah,
that's a thing.
Of course. So yeah, so you keep buying it. So we're overfed but undernourished. So a lot of our food is very empty.
Talk to us about your supplements. Like what exactly is in them? Is it just recovery, pump, shred, and vegan, or is it just like what's
so
within them?
This I've done like 3 or 4 categories. The next one I want to do is probably a hydration and carbs.
I like the sound of that
because I need it. Okay, so I'll use it for me. I use a product called Hawley's Replace at the moment, and I used to work for Hawley's, so I love the Replace, and it's isotonic. So it's very well absorbed. But at the moment we have the vegan I love because I use it so often, and it's keeps you very full, and I just really like the taste. And I switched out from whey protein to vegan protein years ago, and I found it much better. There's no gas, no bloating, and it keeps you much fuller for longer. So that's a blend. It's quite creamy because it's got the smooth protein, the pumpkin, watermelon, and sunflower. So that gives it a much creamier texture.
Yeah, because most vegan proteins are very gritty. Yeah.
So yeah, I did that about 4 or 5 years ago, and I really liked that product. The amino I did around just before that, and that was always. See, I worked for Hawley's 12 years ago, and we did the first essential amino acid, which was all 9, because up then it was just BCAA, and Extend was the big seller, huge. And I always thought, well, why do we just have 3 when we need 9? So we developed a product, because I used to work with MPD. They'd bring something over, because even though I'm not qualified in this area, but I'd use it and go, it doesn't translate. Okay, so it might look good here, but it didn't translate to use, because I want the fucking product, man. I want to try it. Yes, I want to see it. So yeah, we changed that to an essential amino acid, so all 9. And I always loved EAAs, and it's just interesting to see the last 6 years they've become the norm.
A huge thing, yeah.
Whereas now, before it was just BCAA. But I made the one for Hawley's 13 years ago that no one even heard of EAAs. It was all Extend, BCAAs. So yeah, that was that one. So I just followed that through with Rapid. But with Rapid, it was no no artificial sweeteners, colours or flavours. So that was important. And not too sweet. Because a lot of the American stuff is extremely sweet and it makes you feel quite vomitorous if to have that during your workout. So I made these predominantly not sweet. So that's the Rapid Recovery. There's the Rapid Vegan, the Rapid Pump. I redid that only about 6 or 9 months ago, and I love that because it's got 8 grams of citrulline, 3 grams of betaine, a gram of betaine nitrate, the Pico 2, which is the blend of mushrooms. I love the Pico 2, the Vaso 6, the tyrosine, a great formula, really good for blood flow. So I'll use 1 scoop before ski, 2 scoop before weights. So a 9 gram serve before ski with creatine and an 18 gram. I would tend to have about 10 or 20 grams of creatine, 10 or 15 grams of creatine a day. But you have to drink a lot more water, but I drink a lot of water anyway. So yeah, those are the main products. And the shred, of course, which is not what I call a pinger. Okay, it doesn't blow your head off. It's 150 caffeine, 100 dynamine, and 100 teocrine. So it sort of gets you focused and zoned in. Has some other things in there that sort of every fat burner is made on the same principle, and they go back to the ECA stack, which was the original ones that were out 18 years ago, to increase resting heart rate, but also suppress appetite. Because ultimately we have to put you in calorie deficit. This stuff that you hear it's always so funny because 1 kilo lost is 7,500 calories burnt, not eaten. So you can get to a certain point with what I call haphazard nutrition, just reduce this here, and you'll get to a certain point, but the last 5 or 7 kilos are harder than the first 100. That's when you have to start to weigh and measure. And nothing happens the first 2 or 3 weeks generally, because to get to 7,500, even if you're in 500 a day deficit, it's 15 days.
Yeah, literally.
And just because it's happened here doesn't mean your body goes, oh, you go again. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen like that. Right?
Fortunately not.
Yeah, so you've got to be disciplined and you've got to understand delayed gratification. Most people stick to something for 4 days, go, I didn't see any results.
Yeah, but it's instant because look at the phone. Like it's all just you just get instant dopamine, instant gratification, like everything's solved.
Well, investing and business and weight loss and health and fitness aren't like that. No. Unfortunately.
And they're the determinants of like delayed gratification as well. Yeah. They're the things that take the longest time and investment and patience.
It takes years to build a brand. It's so funny. You'll see some brand come up and he goes, oh, he came from nowhere. I said, mate, he's been around for 10 years. Okay. He's been around for 10 years. He's just finally in that last year managed to get the capital together to either get a sales force or do a marketing or do something that's gone bang, right? They go, I've never seen it before, come from nowhere. So, mate, no. He's been around a long time.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so yeah, it's these things that get you there.
That's it, man.
And that's why I say it has to be your passion, otherwise you just give up. Mm-hmm. You just go, oh, fuck, this is too hard. But if it's your passion, you won't give up. Okay?
That's it. And that's what's sort of kept you in the game for this long, hey?
Oh, yeah. And now I just refused. You've come through too much. You have to. Someone said, he goes, what would you do if you won Powerball Thursday? I said, I'd fucking finish this. I said, I would just employ people. I'd get a marketing team to whatever. I said, but Rapid is going to have a record year and then I will be done. I said, but I want to finish it because I started it.
Oh, so good.
Okay, so I'm not going out, not finishing. Okay.
That's it.
And they looked at me and went, you're crazy, man. I said, no, you're not doing that. I said, yes, I am.
I love it. We're getting onto questions from the listeners as well. Okay. And that's literally the first question. It's like, what's the best way to spend 100 mil? So if you won the Powerball or something, like what would you do?
What would I do?
Yeah.
I have not had a holiday in so long. Okay, I can't even remember. Probably a long time. I would go on a holiday.
Where'd you go?
I've been as far as Doncaster. I would go overseas because I haven't been.
Oh, really?
I've been to America 4 days for business, and that was awesome. I love Americans. Americans will always be the best because their attitude is the best. Okay, and they're just so supportive.
I've heard that actually.
They're just fucking awesome. And you meet people there and they respect you because you're trying. You and I open something up over there. Oh, good on you, man. We'll come buy something for you. Yeah, good on you, man. We'll fucking get it going for you.
Yeah.
You know, you get in the car, get in a taxi, and the driver will go, oh, man, I've just lost everything, but I'm going to come back. That's their attitude, right? It's the can-do attitude. Whereas in Australia, you and I open a shop, someone will come, oh, hey, I know that, but fuck, it's all right. Can you give us, what do you mean? You can get that charge for nothing, can't you? You know what I mean? It's just a completely different attitude. So 100%. The first thing I would do, I'd go on a holiday. I've got some very dear friends and have seen me through some really tough times. And I've been very lucky. I have this little support group. We call each other each morning. How are we going to win today?
So good. You need that though.
Yeah, but especially as guys, especially as men, you need a friend. You need your mate, your buddy. And he'll tell you when you're being shit as well. They'll tell me. They'll tell me, man, this is fucking shit. But you can't. That's enough for you, especially in the heartache and the personal side of it. That's enough for you, man. No more for you. That's enough heartache for you. You need to do something different. But they'll give it to me straight, right? I would take care of them straight away so they don't have to have any more pressure. And we can go on holiday together.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Retire the boys.
I would buy Bitcoin. I would buy Australian shares. And I would buy probably a house. Okay?
Love it.
But yeah, I wouldn't keep too much in cash. But Bitcoin, definitely. Commonwealth Bank, Westpac, CSL, Fortescue, Rio, Woodside. These are the biggest and the best.
Not real financial advice, by the way. This is just Mark's just to save us from if anything happens. Yeah, literally.
Well, man, if I had done that when I was your age,
oh mate,
we wouldn't be talking.
Because we'd be fucked off somewhere else.
Yeah, I'd be in Vietnam living like a fucking king. No, but yeah, if you think about just he who controls the money that controls the world, that's the banks, right? So CBA or Westpac, and you know, and then you've got Woodside, which is fuel. What can you do without fuel? What can you do without money? Not a lot. And then you've got medicine, CSL, and they're actually ethical. Been around for hundreds of years. Even if we found the cure for cancer, they'd have to make it for us. But they own the manufacturing facilities. Huge, huge moats around these businesses, right? And if they like something, they just buy it. Okay, and then you've got steel, Fortescue Metals or Rio. What can you do without? The whole of Australia is run on steel. Yep. Australia's wealth comes from its iron ore.
From the mine, yeah.
50% of Australia comes from iron ore. So you've got those four areas. You'd be buying those for sure.
100%.
Okay. This isn't financial advice, by the way.
No, it's not.
But God, I wish I had done it. When I first started buying Commonwealth Bank, it was $30.
Oh my God.
Okay, but it's not even the bank; it's the dividends. They're paying you. That's why I said if I could borrow 10 million, I would, because it'd fund itself through the franking credits and the dividends.
That's it, mate.
Okay.
Amazing. Also, shout out to Lujan for asking this. He's asked a lot of questions.
Has he?
Yeah, he has.
Okay.
He said loneliness is very common for entrepreneurs. How do you handle it?
I've got a good group of friends. We talk to every morning, but it's extremely lonely. A lot of the time, I'm in a warehouse of my own, and I'll be talking to my mates at the same time. So one of them is going through some disastrous, relationship breakdown. Others have problem with their kids. We're all talking on a constant basis. I have my other dear friend in Queensland, and we all talk to each other at least twice a day. And because when we all met each other, we were on the road, so we'd talk in between sales calls and shit, right? So it's never stopped. So when I'm packing or whatever, you talk to your mates.
And I guess the theme of working out as well. Like, that's like your go-to.
Yeah, of course. And you're going to work out tonight, or you might have worked out that morning. It's quite often it's twice. So you're on the up anyway. So you have to work out daily.
Yeah.
And so that's why you do zone 2, so you don't burn yourself out, because zone 2 doesn't tax you as hard. So you do your zone 2 workouts, and you just get used to being alone. But it won't always be that way. And you don't want it to be that way, right?
Not at all.
But you just get used to it. But you have a lot of conversations So you put your earbuds in it or whatever, and you're chatting away while you're packing. And mate, what's happened for you? You got this deal done? Is that done? So we're all trying to encourage each other at the same time. Have you seen CBA today? Yeah, bullshit. It hit 180. The biggest mistake I made was selling that. But yeah, your hindsight is your foresight, because it will repeat. Everything repeats. All the cycles repeat. So to answer that, it's you condition yourself to it. But I talk to a lot of guys during the day and that as well. And I speak to customers a lot. So I'll go out and meet customers, and I've got people I have to ring all the time, and I'll go and see them. So I go and do sales calls.
Mate, what's it like, I guess, finding this group of people, like friends that are so supportive of something that you like to do? What's it like, and how do you go about it? Because I guess, like, in this world, we try and find our people that we gravitate towards, and we just
we've
can't.
known each other for 30 years, some of us, you know what I mean? Like, it was a different time when we met as well. You go out to be a friend, you'll find them. Okay, if you go out to be a friend, you'll find them. And I work on the principle, everyone's hurting. Everyone's a bit broken. Everyone's a bit, but if you go out to be a good mate, you'll find good mates.
Love it. Love it so much.
Do you know what I mean? If you go out to be a friend, you'll find friends. And yes, some might not work, it just might not be. But I understand with them, we could not speak for 6 months, and because you're family and you're busy but then we would straight away be back where we were.
That's it. I love that.
Okay, so yeah, it's not a time thing. It was just similar experiences, similar lives. My mate Chris, his kids are all the same age. Okay, and when I went through my first separation, he helped me a lot, and my kids would play with his kids, and that was when I lived in Queensland. And we've just stayed mates on the phone, and so we speak daily. And my mate Panda, we speak all the time. Paulo, we speak every day. And often, how are we going to fucking make money? How are we going to win today? We have to win today. You know what I mean? Yeah. And yeah, this year's our year, man. I said to the guys at coffee this morning, I said, fuck this shit. We're going to make it today. How are we going to make it today? And they agreed, yeah. They just said, yeah. They said, it's so good to see you every morning because you always bring a bit of something. I said, yeah, we got to win, man. I said, fuck this shit.
You got to.
Yeah,
you have to win.
I don't know how, but we got to try,
Love it. How did you get your first customers, and what was your first year like?
First customers. See, everyone's your friend when you have an idea. But then the reality of having to part money for your product's a very different story. And the people that you know that you think would support you, because I was already in this industry, okay, don't. And you always get an out of left field event. And the people that you think would really give you a crack, they don't. And so what I did was I put 36 units in my car every day. I said, I'm not coming home till they're fucking sold. You just knock on doors, man. Hi, I'm Mark. This is my new product. What do you say? Would you like to buy? Because I need a fucking order. And it was so funny. I remember one of my first calls. He goes, what makes yours different to anybody else's? And I said, it's fucking mine and I need the money, man, because I'm online here. And he goes, that's the best answer I've ever heard. Because I can't stand these pricks that go, it's got 5 extra meg of this or 10 meg of that. He goes, I said, it's mine, man. And I need it. And he goes, that's the best answer. And we've been great.
Oh, love it.
So half of my customers have become my friends over time. Okay, so yeah, it's just you don't get business from here.
No.
Okay? That doesn't happen. You get business from, and that's what we call a cold call. The art of the cold call.
Yes.
Now, I've seen some people for 5 years before they ordered, and I didn't stop going. And we'd talk about everything else but the product. And then this one dude, it took me 5 years to get an order out of him. And the deal come on Christmas Eve because one of his other suppliers let him down. And my sample just happened to be there, and the staff tried it. Okay, so the stars aligned.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not. I always say there's never a no. It's a not now. Okay, there's no such thing as no. Now's not the right time. Okay, I'll call back in a couple of months and see if then is the right time. But you just have to be very persistent. You have to believe in your product. You have to believe in what you're doing, and you have to have balls. Because you're going to get a lot of rejection, but we get a win. Okay.
How are we going to win the day? Love it. I guess for you, what was the hardest thing early on? Was it the cold calls? Was it having to sell those tubs, or was there something else that sticks out to
Oh,
you?
no, the logistics side. So the warehousing, the cost of and learning all that side. And then the digital side, which I'm still not good at. but
It's honest. It's good.
yeah, I'm shit at it. But you can't be good at everything. But everyone I've ever got involved in it's charged so much and returned so little. It's just been such a frustrating process. But I don't think that an agency can really do, because it's so cookie cutter. It's got no passion in it. Do you get what I mean?
It's a very glamorous industry, I think. Like
it's a bullshit industry, because half the time I reckon they're working for government agencies. It's something because they're not dealing with real business that has stock holding, and it'd be very interesting to see who they actually really deal with, because the idea that I can spend $6,000 a month on some campaign that's returning 1,000, and that's 1,000 at top. I'm like, how do you think that's going to go?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's just ridiculous. You've got to get at least break even.
That's it.
So you can keep going. But yeah, so the original question was, what was the most challenging thing?
What was the most challenging thing early on?
The hardest thing, and it still is now, sometimes you can't do anything. You're paralyzed. So right now I can't do anything stock-wise because I'm selling through too quick. So I've got no stock. Or I'm very low. So I can't aggressively go out and get orders. And then you've got to make a decision on this bag. Okay, so normally you have stock holding, and this is why you're so broke. You might hold just 2,000 vegan bags and they start selling. You got to hold 3,000. You got to hold 4,000. So every cent you make goes back into your stock. See, and I'll always pay my manufacturer first, okay, before anything else, because he's got 10 times the outgoings I have, and that's just not right not to pay him. Okay, so he should be paid. He gets paid first. So I pay him, plus I need him. Okay, and he's my friend. So there's no way I would never not pay him within 3 days of something landing in my warehouse. That's just not on. So you're putting it back in, and then sometimes you sell too much again. So you go to another level, and that's happened to me now recently. And I'm very, 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 very low. It's like pellets are out, and so you've ordered it. It's not here yet, so you can't go out and get business. So you're paralyzed. So that's one of the most frustrating things, okay, when you can't pursue because you don't have the stock holding.
Literally, and it's like so unpredictable and volatile as well.
Yes, and you might be just about to start some sort of campaign, and then you go, shit.
I got nothing to sell.
Yes, I'm sold out. Okay. And it's not your fault.
No,
it can be the bag problem. It can be this problem. It can be a manufacturing problem. It can be an ingredient problem. It can be anything.
That's it.
Okay, and it's just, then you're stuck. So that's been one of the most frustrating things. At certain points, you don't have the stock. So that day you just have to ski.
That's it.
Or you work on some other campaign, or you work on your labels, or you work on new product, or you work on something else that you've been putting off, which generally you put things off. And you have a list.
Yeah.
And you have a list, and it doesn't matter if it takes all day to do number one, because it's number one. You don't move on to the next one until you've done number one, but you'll have a long list. Okay.
Amazing. Sammy asks, how did you start your business? Did you completely quit your other job first?
Oh, yeah. There's no safety net. There's no safety net. Absolutely. I don't believe in it's fucking all in.
Like side hustles, side gigs, don't believe in it.
Can't be it. Well, what if somebody rings you and you're at work and they want an order? Okay, now somebody ring. I have to get back, mate. They'll order from someone else. Okay, there's no side. You've got to you have to have the belief in what you're doing. Otherwise, that's half-assed. You do something half-assed, you'll finish before you start. Where's your commitment? I'm expecting somebody to put their money up and buy my product. Where's my fucking commitment to it? Do you get what I mean? You have to have that belief. You can't half do things. It doesn't work like that. And you have to be available. So yeah, you can, if you're doing something at night, you can possibly do that. But I believe it's all in. There is no plan B. Because fuck plan B. We're making plan A work. It kills us. Okay. So yeah, otherwise it's too easy I can't do that. You'll make an excuse in your own mind. And then you become handles down. Okay, you give up before you started. Oh, I can't do that day because I'm working. You know, it doesn't work like that.
That's a refreshing perspective. I like that.
Back yourself, man.
Yeah, that's it.
Back yourself in. You've put your money up. Back yourself in. Of course, it's going to work. It has to work. We'll make it work.
Yeah, that's it. I love it. And for me, what's next for you?
We've got the Tour de Ski over the next. I've had the worst prep, so that's coming. All right.
Tour de Ski.
Tour de
Talk to us
Ski
about
is.
it.
I've never done it before. It's a 5K, 500 meter, 10K, 2K, 10K. They're all time trials. And some of the times these dudes get, I just look at them and just go, oh God, they're just inhuman, right? It must just be a fucking machine. There you go. Some of them are just incredible, these dudes. But when I look back at what the times I've gotten in the last 9 months, I would have thought they're not achievable. So over the next year, hopefully we can achieve. We'll fucking die trying. We'll try and get there, you know? So the Tour de Ski runs, it's one event a week for 4 weeks. Okay? And yeah, so that I've got to do that by next Wednesday. Wednesday's the cutoff for the 5K, but I've been sick. I've had a really bad prep. I haven't slept well. Not that I'm making excuses. I only just got well a few days ago, but I kept training when I was sick.
You're an animal, man.
I couldn't fucking help. And I went through a heartache last year too, and I was doing 15 Ks a day, just zone 2, and I'll never forget it because I was just beside myself with sadness. And it was a relationship fucking disaster, and I'm skiing away, and there's just and I'm trying not to cough, and it was just a disaster. I remember seeing myself in the warehouse where my ski is. There's like a sliding door that's glass. I remember looking up and I see myself. What the fuck? You just look like a wreck, mate. And it was such a funny moment. But I couldn't go to gym because I was upset, and I didn't want to see people that I knew because I knew I'd just start falling apart, right? So I just did that, and I've done. And when I was sick this time, I remember you just go and do it on there. And my first mission was accomplished just 2 days ago, and it was to get through a session and not cough. So we're nearly there. So we're going to have to do a very short prep, and we'll just hope for our best. But yeah, I'll always do any event. And I said this at a seminar I did recently, a ski seminar in Shepparton, and I said, let's do a 300 meter. And everyone shied away. I said, you should never shy away. Talk yourself in, don't talk yourself out. You've just given yourself 10 reasons why not to do it. Where the fuck's your passion? Where's your heart? Where's your guts? Okay? And that's it. Doesn't matter what it is. Try it. Even if you fail terribly. Out of my biggest disasters, and there's been some big disasters, have sometimes come successes. Out of your biggest ass kicking, you don't know what's coming around the other side of it and what you'll learn from that. Even with Rapid, say, if the whole thing fell apart tomorrow, what you've learned from it is invaluable. Okay? What I've learned from doing this, and even just from trying, it counts for something. I don't know where, but it counts for something. I always say that. You're trying, that's fucking worth something, man. So yeah, I always train when I'm sick, even though I'm not supposed to. It is only zone 2. But yeah, so this Tour de Ski is coming up for me. We've got 2 new flavors coming in the vegan. We'll make the decision on the packaging on Monday. For Rapid, the only thing missing from the Rapid puzzle is the digital marketing. And I'm getting that sorted. It is not my specialty. I can't imagine why. But yeah, I've got to get that sorted because in Victoria it's strong, but in the other states it's not.
Okay.
So even if you got into stores in the other states, it won't sell through as well because it's not as well known. And that takes time to become a well-known brand. But that is our mission for this year, is to get that digital marketing right. And I'm going to do it probably with a sample and shaker offer. So 5 samples in a stainless steel shaker delivered for $24. And I'll boost that everywhere so people can try the product, they can use it, and then
not too big of an investment as well.
The investment is big, but
for you,
for you guys, yeah. Well, it's a cost deal, right?
Yeah.
So, but at least it gets the product in your hands, okay? And the if you try it, then there's a very good chance that you'd like it and you'll buy it, okay? There's a lot of digital. That's what I'm 52, so for me that's real. a lot of digital marketing is just, it's no different than magazines really that we used to use. It's just through a different platform. And I used to look at the magazine and go, that's shit. People fall for that. And it's the thing that annoys me, it's generally when you're at a vulnerable moment too. Do you know, like I know some ladies that know about diet, know about calories, know what I know. And they buy shit that they just got me when I was, I'm like, are you serious, man? She goes, yeah.
It's the emotional buy-in.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it pulls, and it's very manipulative. Yeah, and then it's like, really? I said, I could have given you that diet. She goes, how? I said, just eat half as much as you're eating now. I said, it wouldn't matter a shit. She goes, because everyone's after this magic formula. It's just less calories, increase your water and your protein intake. It's pretty simple. And we've overcomplicated it now.
100%.
And the problem is there's so much information and it's not good information. And it's I don't know what people are thinking, but yeah, even some of the trainer I was laughing in the other day goes, if you don't eat, your body will store. And I just started laughing. I said, yeah, but that's because when we go to third world countries, everybody's obese. Yeah. I mean, are you serious? Look at World War II, look at starvation around the world, which is just unbelievable. And these poor people are walking skeletons. That hasn't happened. Do you know what I mean? That's happened from missing meals, man.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen from abundance. You know, like if you don't eat, you'll store. Come on, man. Are you serious? I said, okay, we'll put you in a camp on 1,000 calories for the next 6 months and let's see how that proves. Let's try and prove that theory. You know what I mean? Like,
God.
Yeah, so you see all this stuff that gets thrown around and people, and they believe it.
It is, right? Like, and it's sort of like what will catch the eyes of someone and what is most believable as well. Like,
yeah.
That's going to like suck you in 100%.
Yeah. And once again, it seems to be the 1%. Everyone's worried about these 1%ers and they watch something. It's kind of funny. It becomes like a cult. They watch something and then they think that they're done their research. I'm educated. You know, I've done my research on, mate, where's your coat? Have you been in the lab? Like, it's for nutrition and that, it's not complicated. It's very simple. For exercise, that is not complicated. The information's there. Your cardiovascular health is the most important. And your maintaining muscle for skeletal health is most important. But cardiovascular, 100,000 people, I think it's 80,000 people a year die in Australia from cardiovascular disease. So let's just get that right first. Okay, and then we'll worry about the salts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark, it's been an absolute honour to have you on the podcast and be able to sit down for, oh my gosh, like where's the time gone, literally. I can't thank you enough, and I'm so, so grateful to have met you and to have even crossed paths with you, like just by chance, and being curious and having that human connection has uncovered such a wealth of knowledge and an amazing conversation as well. Can't thank you enough for your time.
Oh, it's been a lot of fun, man.
Literally, I've enjoyed every minute of it. Like,
it's gone fast. This is round one. We'll have to do round two.
Exactly. We'll have to do another round as well. But I guess where can people find you? How can people support you from this?
Rapid products are available in a lot of the stores. Have a look online. If anybody needs any help with training, any help with anything, you can message through Insta. I do everything anyway. So you can, there's not a social media team. That's always funny. Hi team. Oh, hang on. Where is he?
I know if I tag you or message you, it's going to be you.
It's going to be me. Yeah. Okay. So you can message through Insta or you can message through the website. Any of those. The email on the website isn't up to date. I don't think there's something wrong, but just send a message to the website anyway, or message through Insta or whatever. If you need any help with your training, any help with nutrition or where to get product, you can figure it out there. But let's put the product together as part of a plan. Okay, otherwise you might buy a product and you think you get disappointed. It's the plan that has to work with it, right? But yeah, message me through any questions about training, about heart rate, about anything. Hit me up. I'll do anything I can to help you because it's not easy. It's not easy.
That's it, mate.
Okay.
Can't thank you enough for your time. Be sure to check out @Life with Lamb podcast on Instagram, and we'll catch you in the next episode.